Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. So in the previous episode, we did complete the final quest for the Balian Trading Company, and here we are now in the headquarters, which is what we have to do now as a part of the quests. This one right here. Return to the Balian Trading Company headquarters. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this part because we're going to get sent out of here in a second.
Watcher, there you are. Good thing I caught you. The Queen has summoned the director to the palace. Something about an explosion. Castol asked that you join him as soon as possible. The Apreta, please.
Okay, so we are now sent to the palace, which is where all these quests lead, no matter who you side with. Well, I guess the pirates are a different story, but this one in particular, Balian, Tawana, and the Rauatai, they're all leading you to the palace. So I'm going to head to the palace, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on. Alright, so here we are at the palace, and my character's bugging out for some reason. I wanted to mention this is actually 5.0. I did download the latest update, version 5.0, which is the 1-year anniversary version, and it does have a lot of interesting fixes and stuff, and maybe bugs, as we see here. The shadow and the whatever she's wearing is causing an issue here. So one of the cool things about this is that there's new dialogue for Eothas at the end of the game. So I'm going to be interested in exploring that. If not this episode, then the next episode. So definitely stay tuned, and as we finish up this game, we'll explore some of the options which will supposed to expand more on the lore around the world. Okay, so let's get through this conversation, which is kind of an awkward one for us. The throne room echoes with nervous muttering. A few heads turn in response to your entrance, but most of the attention is fixed on the tense assemblage before the throne, where an anxious-looking Balian stands flanked by the guards.
Ak, 1,000 swoles he offered me. I should have charged 10 times that.
The young man crosses his arms and tips his head at Director Castol, and then glances between the faces of the assembled leaders.
Payment for igniting Rauatai's stockpile of black powder. Do we have that correct, Undakio?
Ak, it is so, Highness.
Swallowing, the young man nods. Onikaza slowly turns to Director Castol, her expression unreadable. What's going on here?
You arrive in good time, I say. After one confession and before another still to come. Director, you stand between Wodika's justice and Tangaloa's open mouth. Has the time come to amend your statement?
She raises her brow and waits patiently.
With respect, Your Highness, these charges are absurd. If that man is being paid, it is not from my pocket.
You expect us to believe that? This reeks of gutless Balian subterfuge.
The Hazanui leans forward, staring daggers at Castol. One angry vein bulges at her jaw.
Peace, Hazanui. I invited the Watcher here as a witness, and I dare anyone to find a more credible source.
She sweeps the room with her gaze and nods in your direction.
Watcher, please state your name for the Kahanga court.
Mighty Watcher, Your Highness.
Did you witness the explosion at the Brass Citadel?
Onikaza steeples her fingers and nods for you to speak freely. Okay, so this is the point where you actually have to choose who do you want to side with, because you could still side with the Hawana. You could still pretty much say, I did, Your Highness, and then throw Castol under the bus. And the Hawana will make you the hero, and also you'll be sided with them completely. If you have not done the Hawana side of the quests, then you won't know why we're actually here. So Onikaza found out there was an explosion, and she actually paid this guy, who's a Balian, and bribed him to lie and say that he actually exploded the Brass Citadel, and Director Castol paid for it. So she's actually trying to use the explosion to her advantage. So we have the option to either say, you saw it or you didn't see it, and lie. If we lie, we side with the Valians, and so I will do that. I just wanted to point out that there is still a chance that you actually can side with the Hawana in this. Also, you can also claim you did it yourself and kill everybody. That's an option, except for Castol. So that's another option. You have that way to fight it out and kill everybody here. Besides the queen, she'll leave. Okay, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Watcher, I do not think...
Ukaizo sits forward in her seat before cutting herself off. Taking in the temperature of the room, she eases back and flattens her expression.
I see.
She turns her head in Arui's direction and shares a knowing look.
So there you have it. A misunderstanding in the heat of the moment. I take no offense. The loss of the powder house was a great shock.
What is going on? Someone murdered my people and left a crater in our stronghold, and I am not leaving until we get justice.
Her head whips back and forth as she glares at the assembly, unsure of where to focus her rage. The queen raises her fingers to her temple and regards you across the gap, her expression unreadable.
Guards, see to it that the director gets home in one piece. Now clear the room.
She claps her hands once, the percussion startlingly loud.
Thank the gods. Let us return to headquarters.
You cannot know what you have done.
The queen clenches her hands into the fists, though none of her anger reflects in her expression. Okay, so she's upset because you did not say that it was Castol that did it. And so now, of course, Rautai is angry at the queen. So what you did essentially was pit the Royal Deadfire Company against the queen, which is beneficial for the Valans. So having seen the Hawana side and how that's done, you can say you should try playing fair for a change.
Akira, but has anyone extended the same courtesy to me?
When Ukaizo pulls her lips back in a grimace.
Go and see what becomes of your true alliances. You will find no friends in the Kahanga.
She points to the door. Okay, she's upset with us, which is, clear because she wanted us to side with her. So there are, those are pretty much the ends of the alliances and how you pick the one that you side with. And of course, if you want to complete all of the experiences at the end and also get all the achievements, you have to do every one of the quest lines. So I'm not done the pirate one yet. I plan on doing that one in the future. But let's go see what Castol tells us now. Alright, so we're at the Balian Trading Company headquarters in the second floor. Let's go talk to Director Castol and see what he has to say. We should have enough experience to level up our final character here.
Helia, have mercy. My heart is still racing. For an instant, it all hung in the balance. And you came through beautifully. I never doubted you. You have been my truest ally in all of this. Would that I had 10 of you. A perfectly executed plan. And for your part in it, your just reward.
Okay, so let's just say I did this so we could reach Ukaizo. Let's get started.
Ak, so much is already in motion. We will have little time. Even with the Royal Deadfire Company out of the way, I cannot imagine that our pursuit of Ukaizo will go unchallenged. We do have an advantage, something no one else has discovered. A way through the storms. The Animancers have a device for your ship, something much like their equipment at the Spire. The fleet will meet you at the edge of Andra's Mortar and defend you from any threat that may arise. Once you are in position, the Animancers will transport your ship through the Between and to Ukaizo itself, the culmination of all your work.
I am ready.
Galade. Then I will send word to the fleet. They will be waiting at Andra's Mortar. We have a single chance at this, Watcher. If you have any matters to resolve here in the city, I suggest you do so quickly.
Alright, so we did get our warlock leveled up. So we do have this thing to prepare your ship for a hard voyage. Our ship is outfitted with the best of the best, so we don't have to do that. We do have a junk, which is the biggest ship, and we also do have the best of everything. Best anchor, the best sails, and the best hull. We actually have everything that we need. We also have a lot of money too. We do lose a lot of quests because anything tied to any other factions that are not allied with us, those are going to be ended. Also, once we do go to Ukaizo, every other quest that we have is going to be unattainable at that point. So we have to go back in time and go from a different save. So pretty much once you go through Ukaizo, that's it. That's the end of the game. You can't do anything else. Just want to make that clear because I haven't done any of the other quests. You have to do all the other expansions during the main quest line. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to level up our warlock here, and then I am going to go to the boat, and then we'll pick up from there. Alright, so here we are at the boat. We have a couple of random events that are probably going to happen on our way there, because that's how it always ends up. So as you ready your ship, a cloaked figure mounts the gangplank and roughly forces a burned book into your hands. They turn and depart without a word. Burned book of the law. Okay. Open the book.
You crack the spine of the old book, revealing blackened pages of dense, illegible text. The words recede into the shadows the longer you focus on them. Suddenly, the page widens to eclipse the world around you. A dark void stretches out on all sides. The air full of choking fumes that carry dying embers and curling flakes of ash.
Hello, is anyone there?
Something stirs in the darkness. An old woman steps forward, leering down at you from on high. Her smile is toothy and cruel. Her cheeks warp around it like melted candle wax.
I'm so glad that my messenger tracked you down. These days it's impossible to find good help.
Wodica?
Watcher, before you draw your weapon, know that these proceedings are under a banner of peace. If this was a trap, it would have already closed around you.
I do wonder if this is part of version 5, because I don't remember seeing this before.
While Berath whispers in one ear and Eothas shouts in the other, I thought you could use a more seasoned perspective to drown out the noise.
I'm intrigued, let's talk.
Don't you find it unusual how open and accessible my siblings have made themselves? After millennia of subdued whispers, now they practically scream their intentions. And isn't it strange how we never bicker unless a mortal is watching?
What's your point?
If we still possessed our glorious titans, my siblings and I would have put an end to Eothas and his rampage by now. Margaret and Onda tried their best at Ashen Maw, but I'm afraid we won't see an opportunity of that sort again. While we are powerless to stop him, some of my kin wish to observe how mortals respond to this threat. They think it will shine a light on the value of our patronage. Have we raised you well enough to be self-sufficient? Or must we return to Eora and impose some corrective measures?
And if we prove ourselves, what then?
What indeed? That would depend on which of us you ask. A cross-section of society has converged on the Deadfire. Some of my kin are of an opinion that we are meant to judge mortals on the basis of their performance, while the rest of us have already made up our minds on the matter.
We're being judged to what end?
Whichever end you deserve. When we ascended to godhood, we did so to provide for a savage people. Our goal was to craft a society whose values were made to last. Perhaps even a society that had no need of us. A naive fallacy, but one that inspired my optimistic, misguided kin. How you and your allies counter this threat will demonstrate whether you are competent enough to guide your own destinies, or if we need to revise our strategy. The soft-hearted among us are counting on you to win this existential wager. No doubt, Eothas shares their sympathies. I do not. We exist to rule over mortals. Nothing can change that. So now you know the truth. I assume you have questions.
Why did you choose to confide in me?
Whether knowingly or unintentionally, you seem to find yourself on the vanguard of change. Mortals like you come but once in a lifetime. Some would react poorly if I stripped mortals of their freedom without giving them a chance to plead their case. You have the honor of standing tall as their advocate. Before I return to Eora and assume my position as your deserving tyrant, you have this opportunity to prove me wrong. To demonstrate whether or not mortals are responsible enough to claim their future.
I see.
Mortals have precious little time to decide for themselves. Will they stand together as one, or swallow their pride and bend the knee? I have every confidence that you will disappoint us. Once my position is upheld, the undecided among the gods will embrace my plan.
The gods think my actions can prove their point about mortal society?
Prove it or disprove it, yes. I never agreed to this arrangement, but if your example demonstrates mortal ineptitude, as I trust it will, then I can make the plan serve me. An assertive minority of gods believe that your choices will prove the value of their wild optimism. As if mortal collaboration and ingenuity are endorsements of our leadership. Then there are those of us who know better, who are not so easily convinced. Kith are vulnerable, unless they submit to the destiny we chart for them. Thinking otherwise can only breed dissent and chaos.
Has your opinion of mortals changed at all?
Nothing you've done has tarnished it utterly beyond repair. You may congratulate yourself on that much, at least.
I want to know more about Ukaizo.
At its brightest hour, Ukaizo was the seat of an empire that dominated the continent. The Huana kings and queens might have expanded their control even further, but we put a stop to that. The Apotheosis Project needed two resources of uncompromising importance: luminous Adra and a multitude of souls. Ukaizo had both.
People act as if Ukaizo is the key to controlling the Deadfire.
Ukaizo is the Deadfire's true north. Even the Huana, who have long since forgotten Ukaizo's bearing, unconsciously turn to face it in prayer. The last emperor was fond of boasting that an army had never claimed Ukaizo by force. He was easily blinded by pride. Unfortunately, that didn't protect Ukaizo from deceivers within. We feasted and delighted the old ruler, winning his support long enough to activate our machines. From that moment, and up through the millennia that followed, Ukaizo has been ours.
So your rise to godhood actually set back society's development.
Within the Deadfire, yes. It was a calculated decision. The Huana Empire didn't conform to our idea of societal perfection, and neither did its trajectory. They came close, but some unfavorable habits were woven in the fabric of their culture. If the Huana wanted to prove us wrong, they were welcome to rise from the ashes of their past and embrace a future of our design.
What's on Ukaizo now?
The city stands as a memorial to a different age. Its vacant buildings and flooded streets are a crown supporting but one jewel: the mechanism of reincarnation. Ukaizo is a city, a gravestone, a memory, and a machine.
We'll speak again.
Yes, I think we will. This is not the end of our discussion. You know how to find your way back to this place.
Wodica nods stiffly. You feel her presence drift as a breeze, rustling as it goes.
Okay, so I think that was one of the new features for version 5.0 of the game. Because I know that they specifically explained that there was additional content from Wodica and from Eothas when you can talk to them and get more of the background about Ukaizo and the actual Deadfire in general. Okay, so here's another thing. I think this is... we already have this one, don't we? Yeah, okay, whatever. We already have that one. We should have gotten... Yeah, okay, there we go. Maya is no longer aboard the ship. She just left you with the missive. She is left because we blew up her country's people, which is to be understood. You can read through this, and it pretty much says that, you know, you're a good person, blah blah. I support Rautai. I support the Deadfire company. Alright, so let's look at the map here. We have to go up to this group of ships here, and these people will be the ones that we had the least reputation with, which is probably the pirates. So let's see who they are. Yep, they are the pirates. We have the least reputation with them. Had they been like, you know, the Hawana, we didn't do anything for the Hawana. They would have been Hawana, and so on and so forth. So I'm actually going to turn down the music a little bit. Okay, I just want to make sure we can hear what's going on. Yeah, here's all the encounters we're going to have, because we didn't do them throughout the game, so we're going to encounter them now. Let's just go through some pretty quickly. This is just a tidal wave, I think. Yeah, usually this is a tidal wave dialogue. Okay, so it's just a calm sea. He whistles quietly. Quietly discussing the safest course of this destination. Okay, you hear handsome Ilium scowls at the horizon. Mighty Junk creaks as it crosses the waves. Let's say, are you worried about something? Wind's changing, feels ill. Long gray line stretches across the horizon. It seems to shimmer like the air on a hot day. Vidal's nose wrinkles as the sailor stares into the distance. No storm that, too low. The growing too fast. A quiet rumble rolls across the sea and the line grows in a massive swell of water barreling towards the mighty junk. Okay, we need to get everybody below deck and batten the hatches. We're lying a hull. Okay, so it's a tidal wave. So the crew huddle in the darkness. The ship reels and rolls. Mighty junk creaks worryingly at the sea, beats upon it. Somewhere something cracks. We took 12 damage. No one was killed though, which is good. Swell moves past, leaving the sea heaving in its wake. The mighty junk steadies. You regain your feet and take stock of the damage. EQQ clings to the wheel like it might try to fly away. What in the good God's name was that? Little Luica frowns out across the calming sea. Came from the southern eastern Deadfire, Captain, around Tikawara. If I had to guess, or the Black Isles. Maybe there was an eruption or a quake or something. Okay. Mighty junk sails on. If you had a smaller boat, that would have been pretty bad. And also, if you would have tried to outrun it, it would have been pretty bad too. I find the best thing to do is just to go into the deck.
You find yourself in cold, suffocating darkness. There is a familiar weight in your hand. A lantern. It sputters to life, and the world shifts into focus. A staircase spirals endlessly below you. With nowhere else to go, you start down. A wave of blistering heat hits you. Then a sea salt wind. Divine voices boom and screech. Their words shake the platform beneath you, shake the very air around you. The gods are fighting.
Lay your blame elsewhere, Wodica. I won't suffer your arguments any longer.
Magrin looms large before you, an accusing finger leveled at the melted visage of Wodica. Wodica screws her mouth into a sneer.
You fool! If only we had attacked him when I first proposed it.
Accusations drip bitter as bile from her tongue.
I'll just wait until you're done.
Ah, if it isn't Berath's intrepid little minion.
The pallid knight looks down at you, a frown etched deep in her otherwise statue-still features.
I am afraid we are not at our best.
The Watchers return. Perhaps we should hear what she has to say.
Helia's birds chatter anxiously among themselves. Wal's many eyes alight on each god in turn.
We make little enough progress on our own.
Progress? Are you planning something new?
We try, but agreement eludes us.
Andra's storm-dark eyes swivel to meet yours.
Is there nothing we can do?
Magrin glances at the pallid knight from the corner of her eye. After a thoughtful pause, she speaks.
The time has come for us to seize the power we have long left untouched, and absorb our scattered children.
Andra nods, her lure bobbing bright.
Terrible though it would be, perhaps you are right.
Didn't Magrin mention this once before?
I did, and I was scolded like a child for my terrible audacity.
A curl of steam rises from her nose. The pallid knight looks on, impassive.
Should we be killed in our god forms, we can possess you, our godlike children. Or should we face a force too powerful to stand against, we can absorb your souls, granting us additional strength.
What?
Yes, your life and thousands of others would be forfeit to serve the greater good.
The pallid knight speaks with the chilly temperance possessed only by the god of death.
That's horrible.
You are our children. You belong to us. It is your birthright and your destiny. But the time for that plan has long passed us by.
Are we to keep nothing for ourselves? Not a single secret retained? Not a solitary mystery?
Magrin elbows one of Wal's floating eyes away.
Eothas will lay bare our every secret soon enough. What is one or two revealed now? But we get ahead of ourselves. First, the Watcher must get to Ukaizo, and that will be a trial all its own.
Good, I could use a challenge.
Magrin smiles.
You might change your mind when you stand before it.
The Guardian of Ukaizo has stood watch over that place for millennia. It will not stand aside, not even for Berath's Herald.
Helia, who had been lost in quiet, anxious conversation with her birds, breaks in.
It yet lives.
Of course. Our progenitors crafted it.
A pair of Helia's finches come to join Wal's floating eye. They hover just out of Magrin's reach and swoop in to poke her when she's not looking.
And the Watcher will be forced to reckon with it if she wishes to confront Eothas.
The birds at last linger too long, and Magrin slaps them away. They burst into a cloud of essence, then reform and fly in a screeching chorus back to Helia.
This guardian is but one more thing that will fall before me.
Ah, there is that heady mix of kith ferocity and hubris Magrin so admires.
Go prepared, Watcher. The Guardian will not stand aside, not even for the Herald of Berath.
Won't Eothas take care of it?
It is not one of Galawain's mindless beasts. It has a heart and a mind, and it will throw neither away to oppose Eothas. And Eothas will not fight the creature. It would prove little more than a distraction for him, especially as my tsunami and Magrin's volcano couldn't stop him.
Why can't you just get rid of it?
It is its own creature, Watcher. It does not listen to us.
There is another topic we have yet to address.
The pallid knight holds up one gauntleted hand, and the other gods fall silent.
Tell me, Watcher, where do you stand? What do you think of Eothas' scheme to destroy the wheel?
We can no longer count on the gods for guidance. Kith will have to figure this out on their own.
Perhaps you misunderstand. This is not a test you will overcome on your own. Eothas intends to change the fundamental structure of life and death. Does that not frighten you? You, Kith, who are most vulnerable?
It does, but I will not let fear rule me.
Eothas loves the mortals more than any of us. He has always been their greatest champion. He believes Kith will rise to his challenge. I am not so sure, but I look forward to watching them try.
How did Eothas fool you all? You're the most powerful beings in Aora.
He found our blind spot and exploited it admirably. By the time we even had a hint of what it was he intended, it was already too late to stop him.
If we still had our bodies, we could oppose him.
Wodica balls her bony hands into fists and glares long at Andra.
Do not lay your blame on me. We set them aside after I killed Abaddon, it is true, but you did not fight the decision then.
She turns her back on Wodica then, and looks instead to the Pallid Knight.
What if Eothas is right, and Kith succeed in rebuilding the wheel? What then?
We'll learn and grow as Eothas intends.
Wal's many eyes bounce and blink in quiet delight.
That would be quite amusing indeed.
And what if they fail? Then they die. And so do we. We have to help them.
Helia's voice rises, near to panic. Wodica drives her fist into her hand.
Help them! We should finally bring them to heel!
The Pallid Knight raises a hand and stares at Wodica until she falls silent.
Watcher, Eothas yet values your counsel.
The Pallid Knight's eyes bore into yours.
An impassioned plea from the Hound of Eothas may still temper his actions. Confront him at Ukaizo.
I'll try.
The future of Kith and the gods rests on your shoulders, Watcher, so I hope that you do.
The Pallid Knight's stern countenance softens.
Time moves swiftly away from us now.
The Pallid Knight spreads her hands before her.
Go, Watcher. Do what you must.
The edges of your vision begin to dim. Like a sun setting, twilight encroaches on your mind.
Wait, what happens if I fail to convince Eothas of anything?
You will not fail.
The Pallid Knight conjures a blinding white light in her palm that swiftly grows to engulf the room. Then, the crack of thunder rends the air, and you feel the floor drop out beneath you. You come to flat on your back, staring at an all too familiar ceiling. Alone, once again.
Alright, so that was our encounter with the gods. And based on who we decided to side with, which is the Balians, they specifically have the ability of animancy, which is pretty cool. I do want to go in and see what the ending of that looks like. There's multiple endings, multiple options. Okay, I do want to wrap this episode up, and I'm going to have one more encounter before we do that. A distant roar reaches you from across the water, raising the hair on the back of your neck. Oda gapes. God's alive. Have yourself a look at that. Squinting slightly towards the sky, handsome Ilium smirks. Ikiku thrusts a finger into the air. It's a dragon. A massive ring reptile sweeps over mighty junk, throwing the deck into shadow and setting the sails to billow and snap. Look alive or look dead, lads and lasses, Beodel barks. Roll the rails, ready the powder for wetting. The dragon banks in the distance, cutting a line across the horizon, and you can just make out the figure of a rider upon its back. I could use a dragon mount myself. Your crew scrambles across the deck as the beast approaches slow. The dragon stops above the mighty junk, and wind from the wings buffeting you as its rider peers down imperiously. She dismounts, slipping from the dragon's back and into thin air.
Watcher of Cadnua, if I might have a moment of your time.
You recognize the striking figure before you as the Archmage Lengrith. Good to see you again. Her bright eyes narrow. She leans forward, examining you more closely than she had before.
You've passed into the realm of death and returned since we last spoke. Or so I've heard.
Slowly she smiles.
I seek a truant member of the Circle of Archmagi, Maura. She sent rather cryptic word that she'd found something of cataclysmic potential in the Black Isles, something that could aid you in the fight against Eothas. You've aided the Circle of Archmagi once before. We've found ourselves wondering if you might do so again.
Sounds great. When do we start?
As soon as you're able.
Lengrith frowns, her gaze turned to the horizon.
Maura's drive is frightening, foolhardy, and her love of the Deadfire uncompromising. If she's found some method of stopping Eothas, we must make sure she doesn't destroy Eora in an attempt to save her archipelago. I will await you in the Black Isles, a volcanic chain in the southeastern sea, due south of Tikawara. Don't tarry over long, Watcher.
As Lengrith steps from the railing, her dragon sweeps beneath her, catching her up. The great reptile's wings dig into the air, and it rapidly recedes towards the horizon. Lengrith seated steadily on its back. Smiling silently, handsome Ilium watches the dragon vanish into the distance. Little Ueka looks to you, ready to chart a course when you are, Captain. Okay, all that was just a quest to go ahead and do a quest for someone else. It's part of the expansions. Nothing too important, nothing to contribute to this playthrough. So next episode we will continue on and we'll actually go into Ukaizo, and I'll show you a few things about how to avoid the major fight in that area. But for now, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.